Welcome everyone to the latest edition of IT Chronicles and Security News. Here back in this day and age with not only digital but also analog viruses, so follow the health organization recommendations and stay safe. Here, turning to the digital side of viruses and malware and stuff, of course the recurring theme here, you probably guessed it already. Latest and greatest TRRespass exploiting the many sites of target row refresh here. Latest and greatest paper from universities here in Amsterdam, Zurich and Qualcomm Technologies, maybe. So this is basically a new updated Rawhammer. Rawhammer, of course, not sure if this was slightly before our IT Chronicles and Security News or even older. Rawhammer was many years ago. The exploiting row access on memory, basically if you access memory, of course you should always this random access memory modules deliver the data you read and write there, and Rawhammer like hammering this with bit patterns basically as you would memory test this. So if you run memtest x86 for example, or you buy some super light form while booting, and Rawhammer exploiting the electric characteristics and hammering there with such an access pattern that some bit flips also, as per usual with all the Spectre and Meltdown, the more dedicatedly and massively you do it in a very predetermined manner, then you can also flip some bits that are if you know what you're doing, and flip some bits in the page table in some process. For example, user ID from your user to root and similar stuff. So previously the memory vendor said, yeah, we will improve this, and people thought probably, yeah, this with DDR4 or stuff and target row refreshes is gone. And yeah, this paper is usually you think it's gone like Intel CPU vulnerabilities, and then next week it's like, hey, oh, by the way, yeah. So new high profile Rawhammer attack CPU and DRAM manufacturers scrambled to deliver what was meant to be a definite hardware solution. So basically they Rawhammer even more and found new ways for DRAM access towards a Rawhammer-less landscape there. And so yeah, it's not yet gone. As usual, the devil is in the details, and the details here are rather require some concentrated reading of some afternoons. So if you're into this sort of security stuff and IT administrator or developer and certainly hardware vendor of such modules, then yeah. If we go to the summary here, probably, so compliant memory. So conclusion is somewhere here, related work, disclosure. Conclusion is this paper shows that despite significant mitigation efforts, modern DDR4 systems are still vulnerable to Rawhammer vulnerability, and even more vulnerable than before once the mitigations are bypassed. In particular, they demonstrate that target row refresh, TRR, publicized by CPU and DRAM vendors as a definite solution to Rawhammer, can be bypassed to cause Rawhammer to bit flips. First, they show TRS as an umbrella term for a variety of mitigations deployed at the memory controller or in DRAM chip. Second, they analyze the common DRR implementation in the memory controller using timing side channels, and in DRAM chips using FPGA-based DDR4 memory. Also, yeah, FPGA there, previous channel and videos, right? For you research and own implementation. And yeah, furthermore, they discovered that modern in-DRAM TR implementations are generally vulnerable to many-sided Rawhammers. So yeah, if you thought this is gone like probably many, then yeah, also research is needed, and security by obscurity never works, not in backdoors, not in Intel CPUs, and not in your memory controller. Let's see, US can't even properly hold an election primary, says J American. So yeah, that is a good note, because Federal report warns US is unready for a cyber attack. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, guess what? This channel is about for probably soon 2 years here in the making of spreading awareness of you cannot take security for granted or lightly. also, no, my Chrome is not happy anymore. Probably some glibc update or something. Anyway, so this report, similar to this channel, this report comes to the conclusion that the US should take a slew of steps to prevent a major cyber attack that could wreak wide-scale devastation on the US. A year-long study mandated by Congress reported Wednesday. So yeah, no surprise for subscribers on this channel, which probably is why you should share, like, and subscribe to get the latest and greatest news here from the industry, all the industry insider stuff that otherwise is forgotten on mainstream sites like Spectrum, Milton, Intel, AMD, ARM, and certainly DRAM controllers. So yeah, we are saying this here for a very long time. We are trying to spread awareness. Stuff needs to be secure, not a little secure, but really secure, and certainly not everything written in C anymore with off by one or many and use after free memory allocations and government mandated backdoors because, yeah, or no software updates of vendors because YOLO, whatever, we shipped an access point and now it's out in the internet of shit forever. So what they're saying is doing the 9/11 Commission before 9/11 happens, want to avoid a situation, and yeah, similar to this, I also want to avoid the situation, and we certainly, even in Linux, monolithic Linux C kernel land and all the other infrastructure, stuff needs to be way more secure. Fun fact, on a German news site, they had the news of programming is not rocket science, it is also for women, where actually I commented like, hey, wait, first, and other people also, I was not the only, but other people also said, wait a second, does it mean rocket science is not for women? They actually changed the title and they actually deleted the other in my comment because I commented, wait a second, first of all, programming is rocket science and we should treat it like this and not like everyone can randomly trial and error and try to ship some internet of shit to the world. And second of all, of course, even rocket science is for women. But anyway, fun little anecdote at the side. Similar to this report, cyber attack hits US Health Agency amid COVID-19 outbreak. Of course, this news from March 16 did not age well because COVID-19 out. I also need to. Oh, wait a second. This was the wrong focus. Oh, this is that. Because COVID-19 outbreak certainly already more than happening, and so they tracked the latest outbreak there, and US Health and Human Service Department suffered a cyber attack on its computer system. So as in previous news, US is not ready for a cyber attack, and all the infrastructure as seen here on this channel is like, yeah, unfortunately, again, they were aware of a cyber incident related to the Health and Human Service computer network, and the federal government is investigating this incident thoroughly. Spokesperson of the National Security Council said in a statement, the HHS and federal government cybersecurity professionals took over. Yeah, in my opinion, we need to take IT and IT security and writing code more seriously, and not that actresses on YouTube run their code camp and teach the next generation of trial and error of web programming for the next buggy software deployment. In similar news, buggy software deployment for 100, Trend Micro delivers. Again, recurring news, they are very like other antivirus vendors here. Weekly in the news, either they or others, multiple, not one. So if you were thinking antivirus helps you in something, as I pray here and repeat for ages already, antivirus only increases, for the most part anyway, your attack surface, trusted code base, and yeah, often not the most high quality code, certainly usually of less quality than, for example, even your Windows. So I would personally trust, like, well, trust of course stuff needs to be secure. You should not trust like Microsoft C code for that matter, but if you have already some major company trying to do their best in maintaining it, then certainly it doesn't help to add even more trusted code base to this mix. And as we weekly see here, weekly news prove me right here, or many other security experts. So not one, but multiple. CVE 2020 8467, 8468, 8470, 8598 and 8599. Has released critical patches, and actually they warn here already somewhere, has observed active attempts to potential attacks against at least one of those vulnerabilities in the wild, and customers are strongly encouraged to update. So yeah, there you see 0-day stuff in your antivirus, because running there with highest privileges and affected versions there on Windows. And yeah, solution, apply their patches, or probably you don't want to use such products in the first place. Maybe some open source Kubernetes or similar of that sort. The American writes, I like to become more proficient in programming, so you can contribute what you recommend. C++, I noticed you greatly dislike CY. And probably that's something for another video, otherwise this news become too long. In general, I actually was a huge fan of C++ 20 years ago in 1998. And back in that day, we did all major things in C++, including GSMP, the General Sort Manipulation Program, one of our larger code open source projects of friends of mine and me. And however, I have to say, the modern C++ became too complex and didn't solve much. And in general, C++ is not that far away from C. It is, of course, better, although the modern C++ complexity kills that maintainability, in my opinion, for some part. Although I would say C++ probably better than C in that regard, but probably in general, C is not a totally safe language, so maybe we probably should continue to using way more memory safe languages. Also, probably C++ already a vast improvement over we fiddle every string and array access, and every project brings its own array and hash implementation on the C side. So from that point of view, probably C++ already a huge step and a recurring theme here of my opinion. In the meantime, although 20 years of Linux veteran in the meantime, realizing we cannot continue with a monolithic one address space written in C, monolithic kernel, and accompanying C written in C, user space of all the C library obviously, but shell and all the other crypto libraries and stuff. But yeah, and something that I personally want to innovate more here also on this and the other channel in general, to spread a little bit more of more safer, higher quality code awareness. Speaking about that alleged Vault 7 leaker trial final and fun stuff. So Vault 7, the CIA leaks there, and I think actually not really sure if, I think they didn't agree somewhere, not really sure what, whatever news so written that. Anyway, the big news of this, want to know the CIA password for top secret hacking tools, that CIA top secret CIA passwords 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F. Not making this shit up according to this news and court documents, apparently. And yeah, I think the jury or something couldn't agree or something. I think this was close. What is the verdict here? But verdict, do they not have? Whatever. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong with this verdict there. But in any case, top secret CIA passwords for 100. In case you were ever wondering what your government is using for their government mandated super top high security military grade hyper secure backdoor stuff, certainly then also 1, 2, 3 A, B, C, D, E, F, by course nobody can remember something else, I guess. Anyway, or too long for the post-it or something. In similar news, Comcast accidentally publishes 200,000 unlisted phone numbers, and not once but twice, because oops, they did it again. So they made the same mistake once before and had to pay already 33 million. You would think after doing this mistake once, they would implement measures and administrative setups, workflow steps of whatsoever. But yeah, unlisted phone numbers for those overseas and stuff, meaning of people who didn't want to have their number listed, like you security researchers, famous Hollywood actors and stuff. So mistakenly published. I also really wonder how these big companies always mistakenly publishes. You would think you have in the database, don't publish, and also, but probably ever-changing code, and I don't quite get this, but especially not making this once, but making the same mistake twice. Certainly have to update this picture also sometime soon, because with all this fails here, that probably starts to get a little bit old. Secret sharing app Whisper left users' location fetishes exposed on the web. Hundreds of millions of users' intimate messages tied to their locations. Also, applications in this day and age, brave new world. 1984 again. You really wonder, why do companies need to collect so much data like location and stuff, and then certainly leak it, because that is a state of security. Tied to the locations were publicly viewable until after a company was contacted by the Washington Post. So amazing databases in apps. If you were always wondering if you load some random app from some app store because the vendor, like Apple, previous app store run videos there of ours. Of course, Apple and Google and stuff, they screen nothing. They only click around and make sure it doesn't violate against their own terms of services, as in not making money aside the vendor's app store monetization process and similar stuff. So it's so much to amazing app review. For 100, they certainly don't do code level review and security review. And unmasked or blackmailed, so much to using random apps and trusting them all your data. I also wonder, I didn't even really knew about those apps. Of course, this is also the apps that modern people somehow, I really wonder why you always need to put all your secret fetishes into some web, but apparently that is 2020. Jamaican asks, thanks for the answer. Dedicated videos about the different languages you use to maintain T2. If a dedicated video about the different languages. I've not yet a video about this, but I had already one thing. I said before, maybe I should actually do some programming 101 videos of getting started. And I also said before, I also I have actually a very long to-do list that is only limited by time and money. One other thing that I also want to make a video live stream about is how my coding style changed in 20 years. Because even that is, or still changes, even now with this more visibility, it's actually something entirely different if you try to write quality software in your own small company that you already try to do well. Certainly better than Trend Micro or Apple or Google for that sake. But it's also something even entirely different if you publish and talk about this entirely visible here on YouTube. So even now, with certainly all the example code written here live on YouTube, not the highest top-notch quality because live on YouTube, but even there I try to find and improve the style so that even that becomes even more polished and professional in appearance. So many videos. Thanks for the suggestions in any case. Here's some major German news here. Found that the Bavarian of all the federal regions, there was the people from overseas probably know Bavaria from Munich and the Oktoberfest there, that this magazine discovered that they had video conference stuff unprotected. So in the recurring theme of how do governments run IT security for 100, also actually we have this for that. So unprotected without password. So if you accidentally found the URL, then have fun listening into their inner meetings, inner ministry, video conference system, and their excuse was, they notified them now, they changed this already to have a password because password protection, right? But in general also, the video conference system used from Cisco, but IT professional government stuff for 100. And their excuse was, why is this unprotected? Their excuse was, we had external people to tune in. I mean, it's like, why? It's like if I would say I didn't fill in the tax paper because I didn't have money to pay it or what. It's hilarious. If you would have such excuses for the government, they would only laugh about you. But I mean, certainly if you have external people to tune in, you certainly can still give them some security credentials. It's like, why was this login passwordless? But yeah, we had external home remote workers log in, or it's government. But yeah, if you were wondering, your overseas government is better than ours. And here, welcome to IT security here in Bavaria. In similar news, now that everyone with this virus pandemic, they are working from home, of course, cloud infrastructure, stability, and why you probably want to roll more of your own infrastructure, not rely on big companies, because we have seen in previous years already, they have also outages. People drive with a forklift into some router, there at Amazon or Azure or wherever it was, but also in terms of major crisis, stuff gets overloaded, right? So Microsoft Teams goes down just as Europe logs on to work remotely. And in the meantime, it's not only once, because this news is already a couple of days old. In the meantime, the next days it failed again due to reoccurring load. So yeah, 2 hours of issues as many work from home during coronavirus pandemic. So yeah, why you probably want to run your own infrastructure. People always say, yeah, time and money and scalability is like, yeah, scalability is nothing. You can scale your own stuff. Certainly just plug in there another server or something. If you rely on big vendors that maybe do something, especially if you need it like now, then yeah, outages. And which is in general, I wonder why people think it is so good to give all the data, routing it through major corporations who could run and previously have been often caught running their data analysis on all this stuff. But yeah, resolved an issue, may impact subset of customers in Europe, but the next day it happened again. And take steps to address the issue that the subset of the customers may have experienced. Our engineering team continues to actively monitor performance and usage trends. Yeah, next day it failed anyway, because yeah, certainly there's only so many servers and data centers Microsoft can plug in and ramp up there from one day to another. Yeah, also Microsoft eventually got Teams working again after 3 hours of issues and apologized for missing the expired certificates. So not really sure, was this in a previous news or... yeah, this is a second outage of, I think we had this forgotten to renew key SSL certificate, probably in another, yeah, I briefly, somewhat vaguely remember we had a shout out for that amazing recurring achievement of SSL certificates. In similar news, Mac Pro still poorly supported by Apple Store Genius bar months after launch. And not surprised, recurring theme here, Apple stuff is just not as amazing. People telling me, hey, you shabby €2,000 AMD Ryzen, also a couple of drop frames, self DIY workstation that is as powerful as a €10,000 Mac Pro and still more serviceable, more upgradable, and so on, more repairable and everything. And in case you have a question, then Apple Store Genius bars like, we don't know Mac Pro because YOLO, we only know MacBook Air. So limited production and unfortunate side effects that even the Apple service network is unable to support the machine. And yeah, you buy a $6,000 base price of $1,000 yesterday's AMD Ryzen 2700 mini ITX performance and shabby AMD Radeon Pro RX 580. Not amazing GPU performance, and then even for €6,000 you get support like, yeah, we don't really know this machine. And as far, I think the people didn't even know how to switch it on. Let's see, somewhere I read that they couldn't even power it, so run into yet another roadblock. The Genius connected a standard power cable to the Mac Pro, which then refused to turn on. It wasn't capable of delivering enough power to the machine, and they didn't have any Mac Pro cables in the store. It's like, what? How is even? I have no idea what power they plugged in there. It's hilarious how this even. I have no idea. What in a futile attempt, the genius tried to power up the Mac Pro Zen using a 90-watt USB-C power brick from a MacBook Pro connecting to one of the 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. I rest my case. Why I will not buy any new Mac Pro, Butterfly keyboards, although yes, they know they have previous generation, now they call it the old keyboards, they now call Magic, but yeah. And these people, you want to trust your professional IT support, I rest my case. But they also see the problem, of course, with these ports. It's, of course, you can't really blame the user for if you have USB-C powered stuff all over the place and then trying. But yeah, 2020, people try to power their Mac Pro with the USB-C 90-watt power brick because anyway, this is so funny. We could make a late night show out of that. Yeah. Also in similar Apple news, Apple fined a record additional 1.2 billion. Remember the last IT news, France already fined them in antitrust authorities for slowing down the iPhone, as far as I remember. There's so many Apple news, you already lose overview. But now they also fined them a record 1.2 billion. Antitrust authorities said Apple and 2 wholesalers agreed not to compete on pricing and distribution, thereby sterilizing the wholesale market of Apple products. And if you were wondering, also previous news that Apple blackmailed Amazon there to take somewhat Apple-looking power bricks out of the store, other aftermarket iPhone batteries and displays. But yeah, of course, a spokesperson of Apple told CNBC they strongly disagree with the decision and plan to appeal, but yeah, good luck. In case you're wondering how nice of a company Apple is, like not making it too cheap for the user, because certainly Tim Apple needs his money and bonus and stuff. In similar, better outlooking, if you're wondering if everything is so bleak in analog and digital viruses and malware and stuff, at least some European Commission circular economy action plan for a cleaner and more competitive Europe. So at least some good news. Also, I think, did I in previous news probably I hope I shouted out that the European Commission has some plans for right to repair. I hope this goes through. You never know. You always think that it's good news and change is coming, and then lobbyists pay so much money and for the economy that they don't do it anyway. But yeah, great European Green New Deal. Hopefully, maybe at least they have written here some fancy paper. Sustainable product policy framework, in case you were wondering what we can do for the future. I hope you learned something with all the antivirus fails and crypto cybersecurity stuff there in case of health agencies hacked and reporting not the greatest outlook for unready cyber attack infrastructure, and certainly the regular hardware hiccups similar to Spectrum Matron. So yeah, security is different. Security is difficult, not only on the hardware, also on the software side. That is what we are here for, to spread some awareness and for you to learn something, hopefully how to do stuff better, more secure, more stable, more performant and more renewable. I hope you learned something and enjoyed this, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos live stream here on this and the other main channel. Stay safe, follow the recommended guidelines there of washing hands and keeping distance and stuff, and not unnecessary store around there. And certainly for us here in the IT stuff, certainly not a problem to sit at home and enjoy your vintage and retro PS3, Octane and all the other fun Linux and open source stuff in between. And I hope to see you soon next time for all those video streams here.